Good morning. I'm going to demonstrate using Axure to create a sitemap. I'll go over some of the basics and some tips to make this as I don't know if as easy as possible is the right term, but to give you some tips that'll help you through the process. I've created a sample here. It's at 100%. A couple things I had to figure out about Axure is what it does when it previews to PDF, and I'll do that right now. What it wants to do, and if I print home, because this is the home tab here, it wants to, whatever size the document it is, or I would say the largest object is, it wants to fit it into one, let me get this in here, one PDF page. So if I zoom out, you see this is fitting nicely with the zoom out again. See, this is fitting nicely with that box I drew, fitting nicely in an 8.5 by 11 area. But if I go back to, let me close this, if I go back and select that box and actually right click and unlock it so I can make it wider. And then over here you have these widget properties. I'm displaying that, and there's several things you can do here. The last one is the properties of the dimensions and other stuff about the widget. And here I'm going to make the width of that box 2400 pixels. Okay, so now if I reduce this in Axure, see it's a very wide box, rectangle. Now if I preview this, you see what it did? Let me get this in here again. It made the box fit in one 8.5 by 11 page. So assuming we're going to want to show these in an 8.5 by 11 format, that's what the size we'll use. What I realized was that, and actually I had to look it up, is that I assumed it was 72 inches, 72 dots per inch. I multiplied that by 8.5, and it still came out wrong. And then I looked up on the web and discovered that it assumes the Windows dot per inches of a typical screen. Of course, the whole Retina screen thing is going to throw this completely out the window, but it assumes that it's 96 dots per inch, which is what Windows does. So I got a calculator, and I multiplied 96 times 8.5 inches, 8.5 inches, and came out that I should have my width should be 816 pixels, and then 11.5 inches times 96 came out to 1104. So rounding that off, I drew two guides here. This blue line, and this one I set at 810. This bottom one here I set at 1100, and those guides basically determine my safe area for 8.5 by 11 page. I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see that. There they are. I'll zoom out again. See it completely on the one page. There it is. So those blue lines, that green line, the blue line, which are the guides, determine my safe area. In terms of what I draw appearing as 100% on my PDF preview, because I want to submit PDFs. So I'm just going to grab that rectangle, and I'll make the width like 800 so it draws sort of near where I am. So let's blow this back up again a bit, and then I'll just drag it into about 788, and I'll round it off to cool 790. My height is 990. So there I have a box there that's drawn, and I can choose to use the box and not use the box. I just had it here for demonstration purposes. I'm going to leave it for now. What I'll do is I'm going to create a new page and show you how I built this with some pointers. But the bottom line about the size is draw guides out to about 810 by roughly 1100, and those guides will show you kind of they represent 8.5 by 11 page in terms of laying out um, your sitemap. If you wanted to go horizontal, portrait mode, or landscape mode, you could stretch it out the other way. I guess make it 1100 by 890 high, and then when you preview it, you'd have to preview in landscape mode. I haven't tried that, but I think it'll work. Anyways, how did I create this? So I'll just create a new one and start from scratch. So I'm going to go here and let me back up a second before I create my new page and show you how I did this. What you may ask, well, why is Axure not allowing to have controls to be able, as if you might print these out? Why can't I change the preferences for this rulers to inches and so forth, kind of like Photoshop would do or other drawing programs? Axure basically was designed from the ground up as a prototyping tool for live web pages. The assumption is that you're actually going to create a URL and put these out to the screen, and that you'd always want to show one screen inside one page. That's why it makes the page smaller and conforms. So since we're stretching the capability of this a little bit in terms of printout put being important to us, because you're going to submit these as PDFs, then we'll kind of have to work with it, and I think it'll work fine for what we're trying to do. I should point out that this tool is not the most ideal one for sitemaps, but does fine for what we want to do. But it was available to us for a free license. It will really shine when we do prototypes later in a week or two, a couple of weeks, and it does have some neat things you can do here, which we'll take advantage of. So, anyways, so what I did was open the sitemap panel here, and if I double click on page 1, because it assumes 3 pages as default, I get a new page. And what I've discovered here is that my guides are gone. There is a capability to create masters, but we won't do that right now. So I'm just going to draw over to new guides to show you how that's done, since you'll have to do that. So you put your cursor in this pixel ruler, and you just drag over a guide. In this case, it's about 8, 10, and then you drag from the top one ruler, and it won't scroll down, so you just got to drop it, and then get here and drag this to like 1100. Okay, so I have my sort of 8.5 by 11 safe area. Then you want to make sure you're in the flow diagram mode up here on the left. I'm just going to grab a rectangle and pull it in. That's simple. And then I want another page node, so I grab another one and bring it in. And I'll drag a few more. And you want to take advantage of the alignment tricks or techniques. So if I shift click these items and right click align top, then alignment, then distribute horizontally, and there it spaces them perfectly, and line the top. Let's say you want them closer together. The easiest way to do that is just to then grab the group. Oops, it's a line, sorry about that. Shift click, right click, distribute horizontally. There you go. And actually that's a little close together to get my, well, no, it's okay, we'll leave it be for now. Okay, so since I'm still in, up here I'm in the flow connector selector, I just roll over the little connecting node on the rectangle, turns to red, and drag this onto one of the boxes. Now let's say I did this from here, the next one, from here and dragged it like this. The problem with dragging in that direction, it assumes that I want to cross over that line. If I did the opposite direction, drag this down here so we can see it, and start with my parent and draw to the child, then assumes the line should be overlapped right here. So it does a good job of accommodating for that. So basically the rule is always draw from the parent to the child. Now once I draw it, it keeps it selected, so if I try to draw a new one, it thinks I'm working on the last one. So let's click over here, roll over the connection point, and drag to the connection point. Then I'll go to my selection tool, and now it does a very nice job of keeping the lines always sort of formatted properly. So if I drag it up here, it drags the line up. If I drag it down here, it overlaps it nicely. And I'll blow that up there so we can see that better. Drag it up here, draws the line up here, drag it down here, and it keeps the line overlapped nicely. And if I was to make this up here like sort of a sibling, then I go back, select my flow line selector tool, and I can drag this to a different node. Well, actually that didn't work. So I got to select this first, grab this, and there we go. I can put it into another node, another selection point on the object. And what it did though is that it kept it on the side. So if I dragged it back there, select the line I'm working on, make sure that the beginning and the end is red, so you know that's the one you're working on. Hover over the point, and then I can drag it to the node I want, and then I can drag this back in. Okay, so that's to create these childs of the parent. What about subchilds over here? So in this case, I can copy and paste this one. Okay, let's get these distributed nicely. It's time to distribute vertically. Then just hover over a point. So these three boxes belong to this guy. So I could grab this here, for instance, go there. Once again, start at the parent, drag to the child. Once you do that, it establishes a hierarchy of these objects that they all belong to this one here. So I can drag these around, and it does a nice job of maintaining the relationship to the parent. I could drag one of them, so forth. Okay, to label these, you just double click. You can control the font, the font type characteristics, double click it, and over here in the widget properties, here is you can control all the aspects of it. Center, line, center right, left, so forth. You can even do padding, so let's say it was flush left. It's not letting me enter here, so I'm not sure what that's about, so I'm going to let it go for now. Top right, bottom left. Yeah, it's not letting me enter there, so I'm not going to go there with that. That's probably when you're doing a actual page diagram as opposed to a flow chart. Okay, so let me zoom out a little bit. here. Let's take a look at the whole page. Okay, so there it is, and there we see our safe area for 8.5 by 11, assuming this you 100% view. And then I'll do, now notice how it says print page 1. It sort of allows you to print the current page you're on, which is that. And I will open in PDF preview, see what my PDF would look like. And I'll zoom out. And there you have it. Okay, and it pretty much looks like portions. Let me close these others out here that I have kicking around. And if I can see them both on the screen at once, what I'll do is drag this like this, and we can see that pretty much that if this is my top here and bottom, that there's a pretty much one-to-one relationship between what I did on the Axure and the PDF. And that's basically by dragging the guides out. Look at this guide here, seems that's about right. Okay. So back here I put a title in and put a box around to separate the title and name from the map itself. You can do different ways to kind of make this look professional and distinguished in terms of the presentation. In this case, to create the box, I actually had to bring out a rectangle, kind of put it near the edge of my page, drag it out so it's just inside what I've established as my 8.5 by 11 safe area at 100%. Now I can't see anything because it's in front, so if I right click on it, order, send to back, and then it's got a fill, so I keep it clicked. Over here there's the fill lines and borders. I can say nothing by clicking that. Yeah. So I'm getting, come on. Try again here. Fill, that's the fill guy. Oh, there we go. Solid. Now it'll be clear. But how do I keep it locked so it doesn't move while I play with the other elements? Actually, I'm going to drag it down a little bit because I wanted to go to my selection tool, put my title up there. So now what I can do is if it's right click on it and lock location size turns to red. Now no matter what I do, I can't move it. And then to get my type up here, once again, I could just drag the bracket one. Let's drag the bracket widget. And I take that, and what I do is I make that no gradient. And make sure that both the front and the back, the top and bottom of the gradient is blank. I still got my brackets, which are lines, so I go here, click that, so there's that's the color, take it back, sorry. Try again. None. None. If I double click in that area, I can put my name, title. Let's pull that up. Title, name. I can grab that text and make that bigger. Return, line left. And my title and name, which I can align there, and pretty much good to go. So I'll print page 1, zoom out, and there you have it. Now you could, obviously you might have more nodes that'll fit there, and how many nodes or pages in a sitemap you fit in one screen is always a debate. I've done these where I've actually gone into a meeting and printed out on big sheets. Really what counts is what you can see in a PDF as you blow it up, because that's how you're submitting them. Um, if you decide you need more nodes, you can just grab the whole group. Let's try that again. Okay, grab a selection point over here, and I can just make the whole group smaller. Well, unfortunately, what this program doesn't do, what some do, is to automatically scale the text. Let's see, let me try this. If I grab this whole group, let's see if it'll do the text. My padding thing came on here. Let's see if we can resize the text. There we go. So then I could grab the whole group and it resize the text for all of them by doing that. You could choose to make the home one a little bigger. You could choose to make these subpages a little smaller. Whatever works for you. Remember this, make it look professional and so forth. These line widths here did not scale, so let's blow up and see what's happening there. Yeah, so when they're reduced, they look like they didn't, but they actually scaled pretty well. And you have different line widths you can use too, by the way. So down here, you can do some kinds of emphasis with that. Sometimes if there's a dotted line relationship, it can be important that there's a relationship of a subpage to a different child page or even on the home page. So there, make it thin and go to a dotted line. So a dotted line relationship between a home page and a subpage. This could mean that this subpage link is on the home page, even though it's down the hierarchy. I wouldn't necessarily go there at this point. That gets a little more involved and might not be necessarily contribute to the what you're trying to say in your sitemap to show these sort of dotted line relationships of pages to other pages. Basically, since the web is, you can always cross-reference any page to any other page. You can link from any page to any page and put the links anywhere. Essentially, how do you sort of show that? You might have a standard link in your home page, which goes to some subpage because it's important. But in the hierarchy of the site, it really belongs to this child page here, and get pretty complicated. Show that on your sitemap to the extent it's really demonstrating a very important relationship between a subpage and how it relates to either the home page or, let's say, another page here. Now, it typically, and I'm digressing a bit, but in a college site, what this might be is, so let's say this is a faculty list, and these are faculty, pages, right? So, faculty bio. So that's the hierarchy here. Maybe let's say this is a department page, Department of Chemistry. So what you might do, so the faculty, you'd have all the list, and that's one hierarchy, but under Department Chemistry, you might list a chemistry faculty member. So what this does is this reflects the fact that the page belongs to the faculty, but also would have a dotted line or a link or reference from the Department of Chemistry, because after all, that's where that faculty member works, what department he works for, or she. Let's see if I covered everything. Going back, looking at the home, the sample I made before. Zoom out here a bit. replicated that and showed. And so the main key thing to remember, one key thing, is this notion of pulling these guides to create sort of 8.5 by 11, 100% one-to-one safe area. I could do a 2-to-1 safe area and double the size, um, but it really doesn't matter since these are all vector graphics, and I can zoom in to essentially emulate that kind of feeling in terms of the size of the elements, since ultimately all that counts is how they fit on the PDF that you submit as electronically, or you might print out. Well, that's not too confusing. I'll end now. If you have any questions about this, give me a call. If you want to do a simple map to start with and send it out to me during the week, that's fine. Remember, keep it simple and keep it clear, um, and then go from there. Okay, thanks a lot.